All right, so first off, as always, I want to say all praise to Yahweh, in the name of His Son, Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of the Great Millstone, otherwise known as GMS for short, but also known as the Prophets of Doom. These are where I have learned this truth and where I am still learning this truth. And also, Shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel. Lord willing, I'm of that number. Give me a quick second here. Oh, all right. Excuse me, I might be moving around a lot. Just got done stretching and sweating my butt off right now. But anyway, so this video, we're going to be touching on a prophecy that we find here in Revelation 13, verses 16 and 17. So we'll start off by reading this after we get this fair use statement. All right, so copyright disclaimer under section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All rights and credit go directly to its rightful owners. No copyright infringement is intended. Okay, so now let's get to this verse. All right, these verses. Okay, so Revelation 13 and verse 16 reads, "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." So we're going to touch on these lightly. But even though we're touching on it lightly, these are points that you need to keep in mind while we read what we're going to be going into. Okay, so the "and he," speaking about Esau, Edom, specifically the top banking families. Okay. All right. The causeth all speaks about, if you go into the definition, all right, it is the Greek word poieo. Within that definition, it says to make ready, and so at the same time to institute. So these people control the instances that lead up to people acting or calling for certain things, and then they present their solution. If you want to look back at 2020, it's a perfect example. Okay, if you know what I'm talking about. And that was a worldwide thing. Okay. And still no answers to where that came from. All right. Wonder what's up with that. All right. It started from a bat in an open market in Asia to a pangolin. I remember they said a pangolin. To everything up to lab made. All right. So we need to pay attention. All right. To make ready, and so at the same time to institute. And it's going to be the same with this mark of the beast, which is the micro C-hip, the RFID C-hip. And you have to put that together because we have to speak in code. Well, actually, as a matter of fact, you know, it's the microchip. Okay, the RFID microchip. All right. If this video gets taken down, it's because of that. All right. But what's going to happen is they're going to use the same tactics as they always do. All right. Present a problem or a situation in where the people, all right, they claim either the people really ask for the solution, or they'll claim that the people are asking for a solution. Okay. So something's going to happen where they have to present this thing, then they have to make it mandatory. All right. And in that regard, you're going to be faced with a choice. Either take this mark of the beast and keep on participating in a more strict society, all right, or don't take it and have the possibility of starving. Not only you, but your family, your loved ones, your neighbors, your friends, all this. Okay, so you're going to have a choice to make because they're going to come with stronger threats and they're not going to be empty threats either. Okay, this is going to be a turning point. All right, this is going to be something that after it, all right, these prophecies are going to start speeding up. All right, things are going to start speeding up and the Lord's return is going to be imminent. Okay, so uh, we give examples of, oh yeah, and it doesn't matter the status, all right, when it goes into both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, that's everybody. Okay, everyone's going to be faced with this, no matter what your perceived status or lack of status is. You're going to be presented with this. All right, and he's going to cause you. Okay, it's going to be touted as being voluntary, but as we've went over before in the series called the MotB will be the offer that you can't refuse. What it is it's not voluntary. They just force you into a corner and basically leave you with this only choice. Okay, but for us, there is another choice. All right, it is Yahweh Baal Shem Yahweh Shai, and we are walking in those ways now before this comes. All right, we don't need this thing to come to turn to the Lord. All right, but a lot of people are going to wait until this day. I guess in hopes. I don't even know if they have hopes that Yahweh Baal Shem Yahweh Shai will accept them. But in that day, okay, you're gonna think back to the days that you ignored the prophets or didn't believe them. Okay, didn't take heed to their words without realizing that their words are the Lord's words. Okay, this is what's going to happen. So again, Revelation 13 and 16, 17. Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 and 17. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. That right hand or forehead, we give examples of the technology. Okay, the technology is already in the earth, but just as we talked about earlier, it's not made mandatory yet. This is why we say this prophecy has not come to pass yet. Okay, so the examples of in the right hand and in the forehead, we'll give two. All right, for the most part, we always give on this channel. All right, Walletmore, WALLETMOR. That is one word. Go look for that company and look at that technology. That's really what you should be concerned about, is the tech, not necessarily the company. Okay. For the one in the head, you can look at popular Neuralink or Elon Musk's brain technology. Okay. In this video, we're going to name some other competition for those companies, and we're going to see what they've been up to for this past week. Okay. So let's go ahead and get to what we found. And I'm going to read through this. Some of you will understand it, but some of us, all right, will need simpler terms, which I asked it to state everything that we're about to read here in more simpler terms, and we'll read it. We'll read what it said at the bottom. All right. So here we go. For the week beginning March 1, 2026, what were the advancements in tech companies like Neuralink, Walletmore, Synchron, Paradromics, Precision Neuroscience, BlackRock Neurotech, and any other brain-to-brain communication technology like Connexus or Layer 7, etc. Okay. So it says for the week of March 1, 2026, the neurotechnology sector saw significant commercial and clinical movements, particularly from companies founded by former Neuralink executives. All right, major corporate and clinical developments. It says Science Corp. All right, on March 5th, 2026, Science Corp announced it raised $230 million to commercialize its Prima retinal implant. Oh man, I don't got a pen. I need to be more ready to write things down whenever we do these. So it says this funding round, which includes participation from Khosla Ventures, brings the company's total funding to $489 million and its valuation to approximately $1.5 billion. The company reported that 84% of its patients in a pivotal trial for its Prime BCI were able to read again. All right, Prime is or Prima. All right, brain computer interface. All right, I'm guessing that's what it's called, Prima BCI, or just Prima. Okay, so it says science is now the second most valuable and second most well-funded brain implant company after Neuralink. Science is another name for the Science Corp. They call it Science. Okay. So as far as Neuralink goes, it says Elon Musk confirmed plans to move toward high volume production of BCI, again, brain computer interface devices, and transition to an entirely automated surgical procedure throughout 2026. If it's automated, that means mass production. All right. Or they expect mass surgical procedures. All right. And everything is moving digital, AI. All right. So maybe next video we'll go back and do another back to the basics video as far as information showing that the world is moving in this direction. All right. And it's been moving this way for a while. So again, Elon Musk confirmed plans to move toward high volume production of BCI devices and transition to an entirely automated surgical procedure throughout 2026. The company is also refining its surgical robot to thread electrodes through the dura without removing it, aiming to reduce infection risks. Before they kept saying that these processes were non-invasive, but now it's sitting here talking about reducing risks of infection and having bots do it. I don't know. Anyway, Paradromics. It says the company is initiating its Connexus BCI clinical study in Q1 2026. The study will test the safety and efficacy of the Connexus device in decoding speech in real time for patients with severe impairments. And before we go on, I just want to say that they're always going to find a way around the concerns of the people, okay? Even if they point out what some very good concerns are, they're going to find ways around people's worries, right, to make all these things seem safe and sound. But if you believe the scriptures, right, it tells you that some bad things are going to happen, and we'll get to those at the end of the video. All right, so as far as Paradromics, it says the company is initiating its Connexus BCI clinical study in Q1 2026. Oh, I just read that. Excuse me. So, let me read this again. Paradromics. The company is initiating its Connexus BCI clinical study in Q1 2026. The study will test the safety and efficacy of the Connexus device in decoding speech in real time for patients with severe impairments. What's going to be the upkeep of these technologies? All right, when you get these things in you, what's going to be the upkeep? If something is defective, what's going to be the procedure behind that? How much is that going to cost? Not that we're thinking about that, because we're just going to avoid this thing altogether, Lord willing. All right. But a lot of people are not considering these things, okay? Because these people, the ones at the top, They are going to convince the mass amount of people, all right, through convenience, peace, and safety that these technologies are the way to go. All right, disregard what it says in the scriptures. All right, believe us, even though in Ecclesiasticus, all right, in the Apocrypha, it tells you never trust thine enemy. Ecclesiasticus 12 and verse 10. Okay, so precision neuroscience. It says as of early March 2026, the company continues clinical validation of its Layer 7 cortical interface, a high-density electrode array that slides onto the brain's surface without penetrating tissue. Synchron, all right, following its 2025 collaboration with Apple, Synchron's endovascular BCI remains the only one with a native interface for iPhone, iPad, and Apple Vision Pro, allowing hands-free control via thought. Man. Status of brain-to-brain and advanced communication. It says while several companies use Connexus, which is technology from Paradromics, or Layer 7, a technology from Precision Neuroscience, as product names for brain-to-brain computer communication, brain-to-brain communication remains primarily in the experimental and academic research phase. And how is this being pushed forward then? All right, because this is where the world is headed. The scriptures told you that long before this technology was made popular. All right, the scriptures told us this. Okay. So, Paradromics Connexus, it says aimed at translating neural signals into text or synthesized speech at high data rates, 200 plus bits per second. Precision Layer 7 focused on providing high resolution mapping and digital device control for patients with ALS or stroke. Okay. So it asks, would you like more details on the clinical trial results for Science Corp's vision implant or the technical specifications of the Neuralink high volume production plant? I said no, but were any laws and or policies introduced or put into action that will help move these technologies forward in any way? It says during the week of March 1, 2026, several policy developments and executive actions were initiated to streamline the commercialization of neurotechnology and resolve the patchwork of state-level regulations. All right, federal deregulation and AI integration. National AI Policy Framework. All right, on March 4, 2026, federal deadlines reshaped the regulatory landscape following a December 2025 executive order aimed at preventing states from enforcing onerous AI laws that conflict with national dominance. This framework directly benefits BCI companies like Neuralink and Synchron by potentially preempting state-level transparency and safety testing requirements that the administration deems legally deceptive. The Department of Commerce was directed to publish a review by March 11, 2026, identifying state laws, such as those in California and Colorado, to be targeted for federal litigation. The administration moved to condition $42 billion in broadband funding on the repeal of state regulations that might slow down high-tech deployment, including neural interface infrastructure. And they're hiding a lot of stuff in this language, but Lord willing, when we get down to the simplified version of what we're reading here, it'll state that more clearly. So it says the MIND Act and data governance. All right, proponents of the management of individuals' neurodata which is the Mind Act, all right, MIND, is management of individuals' neural data. Continued pushing for federal standards to ensure interoperability between different BCI systems. A key goal discussed this week was establishing post-trial maintenance rules, ensuring patients with implants from companies like Paradromics or Precision Neuroscience don't lose support if a study ends or a company's status changes. And this is what we were just talking about. They're going to tell you, you're going to have to take them at their word. They're going to upkeep your health after getting this in you after a study ends. They want you to put your trust in them as they always do. And as you always do, as most of the world always does. Even though scriptures like Ecclesiastes 12 and 10 exist, all right? And all throughout the scriptures, all right? These people give you no reason to trust them, man. All right, and if they do give you a small reason, it's minuscule. They'll do something just to gain your trust, and they'll go back on it. All right. So state level protections. It says despite federal pushback, Massachusetts and Illinois advanced bills during early March 2026 to join Colorado and California in designating neural data as a protected category of sensitive biological information. They're going to talk their way out of these concerns, as we've been saying on this video. All the concerns that people come up with, all the concerns that they tell you, and they listed a few, all right? There are more concerns that the people have probably, but they're just going to talk right around it. They knew what they were going to say about the concerns when they hit you with the concerns. All right, international regulatory shifts. And it doesn't matter when all the people in power are in power on every level. Okay? So the ones who seem to be concerned with the people really aren't. All right? So international regulatory shifts. EU AI Act transition. It says on March 1, 2026, new analysis of the EU AI Act highlighted that while many high-risk obligations won't take full effect until August, voluntary AI packs are now being used by European neurotech firms to bridge the gap and gain early market trust. Look at this. All right, simplification for medical devices. Discussions in early March 2026 suggested that AI-driven medical devices might be exempted from certain duplicate requirements under the AI Act to avoid slowing down clinical trials for implants like Science Corp's retinal BCI. Now it says, would you like to see a list of the specific state laws currently being challenged by the federal government's new AI litigation task force? Without even answering that, all right, that probably would have been an interesting one to say yes to just to read. All right, but what I put here was put everything discussed here so far into more simple terms, including explaining what an onerous AI law is. It says, in simple terms, the week of March 1, 2026 was about money. They listed that first, all right? Speed and a legal tug of war over how your brain data is handled, okay? The tech, okay, the big news. It says, a vision breakthrough. A company called Science Corp became the next big thing after Neuralink. They proved their eye implant helps blind people read again and raised hundreds of millions of dollars to start selling it. Neuralink's move. Elon Musk's company is working on making the surgery fully automated, done by a robot, all right? So they can give these implants to thousands of people quickly. Of course. Brain control. It says companies like Synchron and Precision Neuroscience are making it easier to control your iPhone or computer just by thinking, using tapes or stents that sit on or in the brain without damaging it. If you can control your phone, if you get something in you to control your phone uh, just by a thought or a click, and I say click because of what I'm about to say next. All right, so if you can control your phone by this thing, can you be controlled? Is that a question or a concern that's even on anyone's mind? All right, you should avoid this situation and come back to Yahweh Baal Shem Yahweh Shai for you Israelites, and avoid this thing completely, man. Pray that you avoid it. All right. Even if see what's going to happen is even if a lot of people don't need this, all right, a lot of people aren't blind, aren't disabled or in any way where they'll need this, aren't blind, deaf, paralyzed, ALS, okay, but a lot of people have people in their families or that they know, okay, that uh, would that it sounds like they would benefit from getting this, but I'm telling you, when we get to what these scriptures tell you, you should not be doing anything to go against Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. Just period. All right, it's not worth it. Okay, gaining your sight back is not worth disappointing the Lord. All right, gaining the ability to communicate is not worth disobeying the Lord. All right, there's nothing worth that, man. So the laws, all right, the tug of war. Okay, it says the government is trying to decide who owns the rules for these devices, the states or the federal government. The federal side, it says the U.S. government wants these companies to grow fast. They are trying to stop states from making their own strict rules that might slow things down, all right, despite the concerns, just period. Cut straight through the yellow tape, if that's what it's called, right? Straight through all the regulatory things that these companies have to go through. It sounds like 2020 all over again, all right? Without the sickness. Really, it is a sickness, though, right? It's these people pushing their sickness onto the minds of, it's people in power pushing their sickness onto the minds of the people, all right? Just having you walk further and further away from the Lord, man. What is an onerous law? Hold on. No, we're right here. Hold on. The state side, all right? States like California and Colorado are passing laws to treat your thoughts / brain waves like a fingerprint, meaning companies can't just take or sell that data without your permission. But they do that now. They do that now. They're going to do it even with this. All right. Your data, your thoughts, all right. Your brain waves are money to these people now, man. What you have to say won't matter once they get this technology in you. Okay. What is an onerous AI law? Onerous basically means too much work or a giant headache. When the government calls an AI law onerous, they are saying the rule is so strict, expensive, or complicated that it burdens the company, stops innovation, or creates a mess. Okay, so as far as burdening the company, it says it makes it too hard for a startup to follow the rules and still stay in business. They're worried about small companies now, right? The startups that they're worried about is the ones that are pushing their technology. Okay, it stops innovation. It says it might require a company to reveal its secret recipe or do years of extra testing that the government thinks is unnecessary. There was even a secret recipe back in 2020, if you know what I'm talking about. All right, that didn't need to be secret, but people just overlooked the secret recipe that they were putting in their bodies back then too. Creates a mess. Says if every state has a different onerous law, a company would have to build 50 different versions of its brain chip or brain chip to follow 50 different sets of rules. And in short, The federal government thinks these headache laws will let other countries like China beat the US in a tech race. So they are trying to delete those state rules. That's all they care about, man. Winning, being first. They don't care about the people. Period. So they'll tell you anything. That's the point. So let's get back to what the scriptures say. I've had enough of their talking points. Let's go to Revelation 14, verses 9 and 10. Above verse 9, the it says doom for the worshipers of the beast. Doom. Okay, that's what it says is coming for the worshipers of the beast. Let's define doom. It's defining it in the okay. It's defining doom as far as what we discussed. I just want the regular definition. So it says the general definition. It says at its most basic, doom refers to a terrible, unavoidable fate or sense of impending disaster. As a noun, it is death, ruin, or the end of the world. All right, doomsday. As a verb, and when you hear it as a verb and you think of Yahweh and Yahushai, all right, as a verb, to doom something means to guarantee its failure. For example, a lack of security could doom a new brain seer project. It keeps referring to that. Let me open up another window and just get just the basic definition of doom, and then we'll look in this Winston's dictionary and see if it gives another or any more from the definition in there. All right, here's the word. Doom. Doom as a noun, death, destruction, or some other terrible fate. As a verb, condemn to certain destruction or death. And as we're reading these couple of verses, all right, remember it says doom for the worshipers of the beast. Okay, death, destruction, or some other terrible fate, or you are being condemned once you take this thing. Before we read this definition, though, let me look in this Winston's. All right, doom. It says judgment. All right, destiny, which cannot be changed. Fate. It says especially destructive fate, ruin. All right. It says to pronounce condemnation upon. All right, sentence to punishment. To pronounce as a penalty, a decree. All right, synonyms are fate, lot, ruin, or death. Okay. Now let's just go back to the scriptures and see what doom is coming for the worshippers of the beast. This is your judgment. This is what's pronounced against you. This is your lot if you receive this mark of the beast. All right. Revelation 14 and 9. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, meaning if you listen to these people, if you take on their philosophies, their beliefs, and you walk in their ways, okay, they tell you, okay, to live by what they say and to receive this thing. All right. If you act on their beliefs and philosophies after following them, you are in the image of these people. Okay. And receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand. What's going to happen? It tells you in verse 10. The same shall drink. Okay. This is your judgment. Okay. This is your lot. This is what's going to happen. This is what you shall do, or this is what will happen. Okay. The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. All right. You can do your own due diligence and go look up wrath, go look up indignation, and know that it's speaking about Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. This is what you're going to receive. So Revelation 14 and 10 from the top. The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he, the one who took the MotB, the one who worships the beast and received his mark, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, which is the Messiah, all right, Yahweh Shai, whose his name is Yah, which means he, Yahweh Shai, which means savior or saves and delivers. If you're being tormented in the presence of the Savior and the deliverer, who's going to save you or deliver you? Nobody. Okay? No one. That's your ass. All right? Again, in Revelation 16 at the top, Revelation 16 verses 1 and 2, with the heading being 6 bowls of wrath. All right, Revelation 16, 1 and 2, it says, And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, Go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai upon the earth. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth. And you can write these 2 descriptive words down. Or write this down, okay? And there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. Now, if we go back here to what we were reading. All right, I gotta find where it said. All right, they're just trying to get out the gate and get your trust. Okay? New analysis of the EU AI Act highlighted that while many high-risk obligations won't take full effect until August, voluntary AI pacts are now being used by European neurotech firms to bridge the gap and gain early market trust. This is what they're worried about. All right, so are you going to trust these people more than the scriptures? That's a telling sign. It's a very telling sign if you're even thinking about considering, even if not for yourself, but you telling someone else to get these things. All right? You shouldn't be doing it. Period. Okay? So, you're either on the Lord's side or you are not. The Lord tells us, or we recognize through the spirit and power of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, not to take this. All right? Not to even consider taking this thing. All right? So, avoid taking the MotB. All right? Go look up some of these things that we spoke about today and be convinced in your own mind so you can work out your own salvation with Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, all right, with fear and trembling. All right, so with that, I hope it came through as sincere and edifying. And as always, I want to give all praise to Yahweh in the name of his Son, Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. All right, double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of Great Millstone, otherwise known as GMS for short, but also known as the Prophets of Doom. These are where I have learned this truth and where I am still learning this truth. And also, Shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel. Lord willing, I am of that number. And Lord willing, we'll see you in the next video. Shalom.